Process, I'm going to have Blake show us how it's done. I'll be leading him through the process, but in reality you're going to be leading yourself through this very same process after you have sat with and been with your emotion completely. You want to do this whenever you have a charged emotion. In other words, you want to do this whenever something in your reality upsets you. But you can also do it, in general, as a check-in with yourself. That's what we're going to be doing with Blake today. So, what I want you to do is to close your eyes, and I want you to continuously breathe. So this is what it should sound like. We want no unnecessary pauses between breaths. This allows our consciousness to come to the present moment. Those unnecessary pauses happens only when the consciousness is disconnected from the present moment. When we are breathing in, that takes a bit of effort, but it takes no effort to release that breath. So tell us what you are feeling in your body.
Calm, a little bit of anxiety.
Where's the anxiety?
Kind of like in the center of my body, like in front of my spine, up my spine.
How do you know it's anxiety?
Because it feels like unease.
Did you see as he just touched his face? What that means is he's trying to get rid of his attention on that painful emotion. That's why a lot of times when we are in meditation, we feel the urge to scratch. That's our body and our being trying to distract us from being with that painful emotion. So when you're doing this process, try to refrain from doing that. Just express to us as if you were describing in a poem what anxiety feels like.
Feels like static on the top of water.
I want you internally to recite to yourself, I am completely here with you now, to that feeling.
Out loud.
You'll be doing it internally, mentally, when you're doing this process. You could say it out loud right now, if you wanted.
I am completely here with you in this process.
Now I want you to ask that feeling sensation within your body. When was the last time I experienced this? When was the last time that this signature came to be?
When was the last time, or when was the first time?
Last time.
Over on the table over there.
Does the emotion want you to know anything about when you were over on the table? Any images or? The answer might be no, it doesn't matter. What we're doing right now is becoming completely present with that particular emotion. We're getting to know it better.
Wants me to stop drinking coffee?
Interesting.
Or that it is coffee. I don't know how to tell it apart.
That's okay. We don't want to take our thinking mind into the emotions. We want the emotions to come up and meet the thinking mind if it wants to. So then I want you to ask yourself, when is the first time I ever experienced this particular emotion?
When is the first time I ever experienced this emotion?
Keeping in mind that your thinking mind will want to give you a laid out scenario, but don't let your mind go looking for that scenario. Sit with this. If you're meant to receive images, or if you're meant to receive any cognitive understanding of that particular emotion, it will come to you. Otherwise, you're most likely dealing with something you experienced at such a young age that you had no way of cognitively understanding your experience, only emotionally understanding your experience.
In the crib, wondering if someone's going to come back.
Okay, so how did that come to you? Was it first-person perspective? Was it third-person perspective?
Third person.
So you were watching yourself.
Yeah.
What that means is that this particular memory was traumatic enough that the consciousness separated from its first-person experience of it. This is the heart of suppressed memory.
That was a mix. I saw both.
That's good. That means that when you're reintegrating with first-person perspective, it means you're coming back into welcoming the experience.
Totally experiencing bulbous tiny right
Okay, well, close your eyes. We want that. Bulbous teeny is an experience that you have on a physiological level, oftentimes when we're dealing with emotions that are too intense. It's the feeling of being very, very large and then very, very small. So he's having a physiological reaction to the reintegration of this particular traumatic memory and emotion.
Okay. Just be
Sit
here.
with it. Do you see that child? Now that you have been with that emotion, as long as you're not wanting to escape from that emotion, it's time for you to alter that memory. This is your opportunity to do whatever you need to do to make that child feel emotionally different. Or to be, rather than say that, let's say to be completely with that child's emotion. Do we need to pick the child up?
Yeah.
Then do.
Myself or somebody else?
Which feels better?
I don't know. I can't understand myself picking up myself.
Who would the child want to have pick it up? An angel, a guide? Who?
Sure, a light being.
Okay, well, now imagine a light being going over and picking up that baby and comforting the baby and telling the baby that it's not alone. Whatever words need to be conveyed, or emotions, or actions need to be conveyed in order to be present with that child in that state of emotion. That's what we want to do.
I don't know what will make... I mean, this bulbous teeny is...
And be with that
intense.
emotion. See, right now it's so intense that you want to escape from the emotion. But that's what we do when we smoke cigarettes. That's what we do when we try to exercise. That's what we do when we get other people to act in a way that makes us feel better. We're trying to escape the emotion, which doesn't allow for integration. Breathe continuously into that emotion.
It's feeling better. It's okay.
Now can you watch the child being picked up by the light being? Enable that light being to tell the child that it's never going to be left behind.
I'm trying to feel like what that would feel like being picked up, but I can't really get there because I'm still in this other feeling.
Well, do you feel like you need to sit with that emotion longer?
Yeah.
Then do that. Don't forget to breathe. The minute we stop continuously breathing, we have gone back into time instead of bringing time forward into where we are. We are no longer in the present.
Wow. Words of affirmation would make it feel better.
Good.
Which is weird because I'm usually so resistant to that.
That's part of why you're so resistant to that.
Why? Because...
No, that's for another date. You
Why?
you will find out the why of your life and the meaning of your life and the coincidence and the coherence, I should say, between everything once you start doing this process. So I want you to try something.
Okay.
This is an intuitive thing for me. I want you to try picking that baby up and fashioning a carrier around an aspect of your consciousness, your adult consciousness. A carrier around your body, like a baby carrier. Put that baby inside of that carrier and say, I'm never going to put you down. You're never going to be in a crib again.
Okay.
How do you feel emotionally?
Not sure I trusted that.
What is it going to take for the child to trust that? Time?
I suppose. I don't know.
Ask the child. Even though they can't use words because they're that young, they can convey emotions. It was you. You'll have an internal knowing.
Play or something.
Then do that. This is our opportunity as adults to meet our internal child's needs. This is our opportunity to be completely with them in the feeling that they feel, to enable them to feel emotionally better.
I've experienced this bubble tuning like throughout my whole life. More so when I was like under 10. But I've never felt it this intense. Maybe back then was when I felt it most intensely, but right now it's just so heavy.
That means that feeling is its own feeling signature, which is attached to the other one, which you originally went looking for, and this is the one that wants to be reintegrated now.
Okay.
So what you want to do is stay completely with the bulbous teeny itself, and ask those same questions of it. When was the last time I felt this? When was the first time I felt this?
The last time I felt this was a few months ago, a year ago.
Conditions?
I don't know, maybe in bed, just stressed about the situation.
That's why it's linked to stress.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. When was the first time I experienced this experience?
I feel like if I put a number on it, it's like 2.
Don't put a number on it. I just want you to be with those emotions. You may not, this may be so young that you don't have any cognitive understanding of this emotion.
Probably.
Just go back. When you ask yourself that question, instantly your being will transport you to that original emotion.
I almost feel like I've never felt like this before.
Okay, explain it. Describe it.
I don't know, my hand feels like it's like a building, and I'm...
Good. Continually breathe into that feeling.
This is so heavy.
Mm-hmm. I am completely here with you now.
Completely here with you now.
Ask if there's anything this feeling wants you to know. Keep in mind that this process may be very long for you to do. Somebody like Blake, who's been in the practice of identifying their emotions and being with their emotions for a great many years, will be able to facilitate this process much quicker. So don't be upset with yourself if this takes you a long time to do.
Is there anything this feeling wants me to know right now?
Or see. Or hear.
I feel like I'm swimming around in like infant memories, kind of. Maybe even birth.
Mm.
It might be birth.
Might be in utero.
Yeah. Maybe right before birth.
Yes.
Yeah, like coming out of the womb, I guess. Whoa.
Yeah.
I thought it was impossible to remember something like this.
I don't know. In fact, we all remember it. We've just suppressed the memory.
Yeah, it's coming out.
Do you believe in suppressed memory yet?
Guess so. Yeah, it's like the feeling of birth. It's like falling out. It's like I'm so heavy that I'm falling out, or so suppressed.
Well, when the waters break, that's the first time you will actually feel the pull of gravity.
Yeah.
Did that occur to you?
Yeah, it feels like gravity. It feels like I'm gonna fall through the floor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sucks.
So how do you support this baby?
Uh,
Just re-experience it. Go through the birth process.
how do I support it? I don't catch it.
Just be with it. You're not ready yet. Can you feel that? The first, well, it wasn't the very first, but one of the first times you abandoned yourself emotionally is when you were experiencing that and you wanted to pull back from that. So right now, in the process of reintegration has you going back through that process with yourself.
So,
Can you go ahead?
I'm just like shaking and heavy, and actually now I'm cold.
Classic birth experience.
It's cold out here.
Do you feel like you want to be with those emotions, or would you like to change the causation?
What do you mean?
Changing the causation means to make some alteration to the causation of that emotion. How could you make that experience different?
Understanding.
Yes. It's important that he just said that, because even the act of observing and being with this has altered it forever. Do you feel like you need to do anything more with the memory? Do you feel like you need to witness the baby being supported and comforted and in a space of warmth? What needs to happen?
I don't think so, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, just kind of going through that and maybe knowing what it is now was really good.
Keep breathing.
It was like a relief.
That's because you were completely present with yourself. This was one of the first times you did not abandon yourself. Which you do, abandon yourself anytime you want to get away from an emotion that you're feeling. Or change it. Or fix it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, the whole self-help industry is out the window. So now, with your cognitive understanding, seeing as how you experienced that feeling we just went into is something that's happening in real time because it was triggered, that memory, your birth trauma memory, was triggered by something happening today, which is nothing but a reflection, a mirror of that original experience. So what experience do you find keeps replicating itself throughout your life as a mirror of that original birth experience? Because that is a feeling signature that continues when?
Stress.
Mm-hmm. And why are you in stress right now?
I have no idea.
Are you kidding me?
What? Just filming?
We're moving.
Yeah, we're moving away from home. Being...
That, my friend, is to be present with yourself completely. Thank you, Blake. Writing about your experience with being with your feeling body is a good idea because it will not only make your emotional body feel as if you care about it, it will help you to understand and integrate the experience you have just had. Keep this in mind as you go about your life and your day. Anytime you experience something as upsetting or uncomfortable, it is a triggered memory. You are not, in fact, living anything new in your life. You are experiencing nothing but reflections from your childhood. There is no exceptions to this rule. The reason that we are so reactive, we get upset, we blame the person who's coming towards us and causing us to feel that way, is because we are unwilling to fully be with our emotional body, to be with our feeling impressions, and to reintegrate them. So don't shoot the messenger. These experiences which cause extreme emotion to arise within us are messengers from our subconscious. They're begging you to reintegrate your emotional body. They're begging you to reintegrate and become whole with yourself. So listen to them and be with them and have a good week.